Hi there everyone, your friendly neighborhood Indomitus, and we're going to do a quick tutorial today on how to get the player's name and use it in a dialogue, like for example for an NPC or just any message you want to pop up. You'll be able to get their name and show it to them. So I've set up my little dragon statue here. I'm going to make him speak. I'm going to make him talk to the player when the player walks up. He's a very friendly dragon statue. He's going to talk to everybody. And he's going to call them by their name. So the first thing I'm going to need is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to get a trigger zone. I'm going to drop it right in front of him. And let's see. Let's go over here and scale that. I'm going to scale that up to a good size. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, right about there. Good. All right. Now let's double click this and let's check the settings on this bad boy. Zone shape, the radius looks fine. Triggered by any player. Absolutely, I want it to be triggered by any player that walks up to him. Perform. You know what? I want it to fire each time something enters and exits. So even if there's somebody standing there, another person walks up, he's going to talk to them too. The number of times it gets triggered, I don't want to have a limit on this, but you can say, it only happens 10 times and then it stops. In this case, I don't want to have a limit on it, so I'm going to leave that at -1 right here. That all looks good, so I'm just going to click OK and go out of that. The next thing I need to have here, I'm going to go back over here to my game logics and I'm going to grab a dialogue. I'm going to set it right here next to his feet. That way, if I come back to this later, if I want to make changes, I know what that belongs to. It belongs to him. It sits right next to him. So I'm going to double click that. Let's check out the settings here. It's enabled, of course. The question, if I just wanted him to ask just a regular question and I wasn't going to change it ever, I could just type it right there. But for now, I'm going to leave that blank because we're going to change that later on in the script. Right below that, we have options. Now, these are the options that these are the responses that the player can give. They can choose one, kind of a multiple choice. They can pick one. Now, right now, there's already one available right here. I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to say yes. That's the first answer that you can give is yes. But I wanted to have more than one possible answer, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to hit this plus to add one. And for the second one, let's make this a really, really positive question, and I'm going to say very much. Now, I want to make sure that that second one is enabled. Otherwise, they won't be able to choose it. The last option we have here is a show leave button. This dragon's being really friendly, and I think if you just leave without answering him, that'd be kind of rude. So, I'm going to turn this off for now. Yeah, that looks good. Let's go with that. Okay, now we come to the fun part here, the visual scripting. I'm going to click on the trigger zone because that is what kicks the whole thing off. That's what activates the whole thing. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say edit script. Now this is fun little area here is where you're going to build all the script, all the commands. And you will always start up here with events, because this is stuff that can activate from whatever it is you have from this trigger zone. These are the things that can activate from that trigger zone. The one we want right here is on trigger enter. So I'm going to grab and drag it out into this open field here. Now on trigger enter, it gives me a trigger object. Well, basically that's whatever it was that entered that zone that activated this. So in this case, it's the player. That's important. We'll come back to that. Now the first thing we want it to do is we want it to change what that dialogue says. So we're going to go to game logics, because this is where we can change things in game logics, and we're going to look at dialogue. What do we have under that? Now we have a thing that says set question. Now this will change whatever the question is for that dialogue. So I'm going to drag that out. I'm going to plug, you see that little white line there? That means it's going to snap right onto that. And when they're snapped together like that, it treats it as a sequence. When this activates, it just plays them right on out. So I'm going to set question for dialogue. I have to tell it which dialogue. So I'm going to select that bad boy. I'm going to tell it, change it for that dialogue. Now over here is where I can make it, is where I can tell it what I want to change it to. But I'm not just going to type something there. I'm actually going to assemble a question. I'm actually going to take the question that I want to ask the player. It's going to have their name in it, and I'm going to break it apart into pieces so that I can reassemble it with the player's name in it. First thing I need to get is I'm going to go to Entities and Common, and I'm going to grab this block right here, the Get Name entity. I'm just going to drag it out into the open over here. And what I want to get the name of is the player, the trigger object. So I'm going to pop that in there like that. This little block right here now has the name of the player that activated the trigger zone. So, like I said, I'm going to assemble the question. To do that, you go down here under string, and there's a lot of different things in here to work with, but we're going to go straight to the simple thing that has the plus in the middle, because that'll take whatever's in this first part and whatever's in that second part, and it assembles them together into one. So I'm going to drag that out into the open here. Now, the way this assembles it, it is going to put this first and this second. So I want it to say, I don't even just say hello and then the character and then the player's name. So hello, and you remember that you need to put, if you want a space in there, you got to put the space because it's not going to do it automatically. Then I'm going to take this, I'm just going to drag it and plug it in right there. Now, he's going to ask a question. So I want to put the question after this. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to get another one of these. And since I want to put the question after this, I'm going to put this in the front half on this one. And now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to type the part that comes after the player's name. Are you having fun playing Ylands? Now that's the full question. Hello, and then the name, and then the question that comes after it. And I'm going to plug this in right there. It's going to take whatever I just assembled there and it's going to put it in that dialogue. It's going to set that up and say, okay, when this dialogue gets activated, that's what it's going to show. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. Remember the game logics, dialogue. And this command right here will force it to activate the dialogue. And again, I'm going to tell it which one, because I could have hundreds of different dialogues in there. I want it to choose this one. It needs to have a questioner, who's asking the question. In this case, it's my dragon statue. So I'm going to choose that. And then the player, who's seeing the question. Well, again, it's your trigger object right here. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to plug it in right there. And you know what? We are done with the script here. When somebody walks in to the zone, they're going to trigger it, they're going to activate this, which changes the question to put their name in the middle of it. And then it shows that question. So I'm done with this. I'm going to click out of there. Now I want to do one more thing. I'm actually going to go over here to the dialogue, and I'm going to say, I want him to respond. When you give an answer, he's just going to give you a response. So I'm going to click on the dialogue, and I'm going to hit Edit Script. Now remember, when it's blank like that, you always start with events. Now you have a few different options here. On open, on answered, on closed. They all do different things. This one is the one we're interested in right now, on answered. Now you have a few different things that it's feeding to you. Remember, these are this is the information it's giving you when something happens. You know, who was the player that did it? Who was the questioner? What was the answer that they chose? So you can actually respond. You can actually change your response based on what answer they chose. We'll save that for another time. For right now, I just want him to give a generic response. So I'm going to go to Game, Show Text, and Show Bubble Entity. Show Bubble, which this is basically what you get when you're talking in chat. When you go into the console and you type hello and you're talking to somebody else and you see the little bubble above their head, that's exactly what this is right here. So show the bubble. The bubble is going to be with a friendly dragon statue. And the text, you are enjoying the game. And hide speaker, this will decide whether or not it shows their name. But you know what? I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to just snap that right on there. That looks pretty good. So I'm done. So we've set the script in here so that it changes the question and then shows the question. And then after the player answers it, it shows a little response from our statue. I think we're looking good. Let's test this. Okay, looking good. All right. Hey, there's a dragon statue. So let's walk up to him and see what happens. Boom. Friendly dragon statue. Hello, Indomitus. Are you having fun playing Ylands? Yes, very much. I am glad you are enjoying the game. And there you go. It knew my name, and it used it in the dialogue. I hope everybody learned something here today, and see you next time.